Welcome back. It's Sarah Stokes here with Fully Stoked Podcast, and I have another fantastic friend. Actually, Alicia is my friend. We hit it off the first time we met, and pretty much best friends now. And anyway, we just found out that she lives around the corner from me, so we're gonna be walking the dogs together, maybe
all the time. Yeah, we're not
having
even
a
3
glass
minutes
of
away
wine.
from each other.
What?
Yes.
You could literally walk here.
Now only because of the traffic, it would be
Oh,
a little hard, but I'm right around it, right where the Lowe's.
oh, really? The new one? Oh, we just got a really big, nice Lowe's
Yes.
Foods. It's not open yet, though.
It's not, and I've never been to a Lowe's. Is it good?
I mean, I think so. I don't want to keep talking about wine, but they do have a wine bar. But so does the Cedar.
Do they?
Do you want to meet?
Let's do
At
that.
the Cedar?
Sarah,
Told you.
Let's do it.
Okay.
I'm serious.
So seriously, like we just hit it off. Have you not been to this Cedar?
I have, but I always look and just look at the people who are there. I'm like, who's hanging out at the Cedar? We got to do it.
So they have live music on Thursday nights.
Let's do it.
At the Cedar.
Why would we go any further?
Anywhere else.
Right.
Just walk there. Okay, so back to welcome to Fully Stoked Podcast. I am your hostess, Sarah Stokes. Cody is not here today because I am interviewing Alicia Fleming, and she is not only a fabulous mother and a fabulous bookkeeper and a fabulous director of Anderson Outreach, but she's got the biggest heart you've ever seen or heard of. And she's going to tell us a lot about Anderson Outreach, and she's going to tell us about her life and share a lot of great wisdom. She is a woman in business, and she's also just got a lot of wisdom. You've lived, right? Welcome. Thank you so much for coming, Alicia. She's very patient too. I had to set up my whole setup, and she was like, take your time. You're fine. You're fine. So I think the first thing we were talking about before we started filming was, and this is kind of a big deal. So your fight with breast cancer.
Yes.
And overcame breast cancer. She's been cancer-free for a year.
Yes.
Yay.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is awesome. And you were telling me just like the biggest thing that you wanted to impart, okay, this wisdom to women, young women, old women, everyone, is that
advocate for yourself. Advocate for yourself no matter what. If you feel like something is wrong or you just feel a little off, then just probe until you know. That's my thing.
And you went to several doctors, right? Before anybody really would take you seriously. And what was your main symptom, which is not even a symptom?
So my main symptom was I had pain in my right breast. And it was just abnormal. And I felt like there's got to be something wrong. So the first person that you usually share your concerns with is your gynecologist.
Right.
You know how they always go and do that manual test.
Right.
And so she didn't feel a lump. I hadn't felt a lump, but I just knew there shouldn't be pain there.
Right.
Then I went to my regular doctor. My regular doctor is a male. He's like, that's definitely not a symptom. So I just kind of pushed and I decided to, go ahead and do an additional mammogram for that year. And it was not found in the mammogram.
What?
And so we ended up doing an ultrasound of the area. And once the ultrasound was there, the doctors behind the scenes said, hey, there's a few spots that we want to do a biopsy on.
So had you not pressed on, you said that they probably wouldn't have found it at that early stage. And it was called the I think
it's DCIS, and I don't know exactly what it stands for, but it's just the very early stage of cancer, breast cancer. And it is such an area where women can just get help for it. So you can just get it removed and then you just go forward. So you don't have to go through a lot. Like only thing I had to do for treatment was radiation because it was such an early stage.
But
it wasn't even a stage 1 is what DCIS.
Okay, good. Okay. So, but had you waited, it could have been
stage 2 or 3 by now. Yes.
Oh. All right. So you have to advocate for yourself.
You have to do that in any area, not just breast cancer.
That's right. Business, life, relationships,
definitely.
Any of that. So, that's really cool. I really enjoyed learning that about you. I didn't know that you were a breast cancer survivor prior to today. So Anderson Outreach. So this is 100% volunteer. Is that right?
It is 100% volunteer.
Director. So she came and spoke. I met Alicia at Union County Network of Women. Had several people. Melinda Willison and then Julie Thomas and a few other people I think had mentioned that you would be a great person to come and educate our group about Anderson Outreach, and she's just so dynamic, and there's such a need for what Anderson Outreach does, and it's really close to my heart because it's what I did for my first career. In many ways, it has a lot of similarities. So, if you could just tell us a little bit about Anderson Outreach, and that would be great. And I'll just ask questions.
And so Anderson Outreach is a nonprofit, and our specific niche is that we work with youth whose parents have died, they're incarcerated, or they have lost or given up parental rights.
Yeah.
And so they are in North Carolina. We have some kids in South Carolina and some in Georgia. And yeah, and so basically what we do is we typically try to go, it's not just a group home. We usually go to mental health facilities. So they are treatment facilities. So in addition to them living without parental support or family support, some of them may have a, long lost auntie that comes along and, still checks on them. But in general, for holidays, birthdays, things like that, these kids are living in this facility, getting treatment on a day-to-day basis, but they are living without family contact.
Wow. So just the fact that you said incarcerated or deceased parents or given up their rights as parents, that just makes me think there's a whole level of trauma just with that statement.
It is.
And then beyond that, they've been, I assume, in foster care.
And some have been adopted, believe it or not.
Okay.
A lot of situations, without trying to shame anyone, but there are a lot of situations where adoptions may not work out for a specific family. They may have a child, and the other child, they just don't mix. So I have some kids who, them and their siblings have been adopted, and they have been returned to the treatment facility. So there's a lot of abandonment, feelings of rejection. Most of the kids have experienced some sort of sexual abuse, whether it's by a family member, which is one of the reasons why they've been taken from, the family or the parent. We have one child who, has experienced something like that with a father, and he's been in care since he was very young and probably will age out of care. So it's all different types of trauma. I even have a specific child who his mom died of breast cancer. And so his dad remarried, and the partner really didn't want to be with the child and the behaviors that come with some mental health diagnosis. So he was placed in care.
Oh, wow. That is heartbreaking. So thank you for doing that, because I think I would say probably a lot of these children maybe are forgotten, right?
They feel like it. And I say, when I'm reaching out to the community for support, I say, that they are the forgotten. Because what happens is parents like you and I, we do our best. We fall short in a lot of ways, but every day we get up and we do it again, no matter what. We stick with our kids. We can't imagine being without our kids and without supporting them. But there are a lot of people who deal with also mental health. It's like a cycle. So they are dealing with their own mental health issues. They've been sexually abused. They have had parents that weren't amazing. And they simply just don't have the capacity to be the kind of parent that, most kids need and deserve. And so what I try to do is to remove the shame, remove the judgment when I'm dealing with those situations, because we're all functioning on so many different levels.
So good. So do you ever, I guess you do come into contact probably with that long lost auntie who comes in, or a parent. Does the parent ever come?
Every now and again, yes. You might get one parent that, is somehow connected or has still some way to be able to be in communication with the child. And so we just try to honor whatever it is. Like if they feel like the child has, anxiety and we're giving them something, then we're going to honor what they say, and maybe like a heavy blanket, those weighted blankets.
And so every night.
I have a parent who kind of requested that, and so we try to do things where we honor those requests.
Oh, that's nice. That is nice. I love that you don't judge. You try to refrain from judging. I think that's great. Because I guess if there's a long lost auntie or parents, I would assume the child would probably, in most cases, want to have some kind of contact. And then if you've got, Anderson Outreach, if you were being judgy or judgmental, that would be another hurdle that child would have to overcome. So, wow, I didn't even think about that in your position, that you would have to deal with
Every
with
now and again we
that.
do, yeah. And so
So
like on a
much.
given holiday, most of our kids, so let's say out of 100 kids, you might have 4
Mhm.
that are actually somewhere with a lost auntie or something like that.
What?
While we're doing all that we do with these kids, there's a few that still have some connection
Okay.
and they may go off campus. But typically that would be like a major holiday, like a Christmas. So
Okay.
you might have 3 or 4 missing,
Wow.
from campus,
So how many locations do you serve? Because you said you work with facilities, some homes,
And
some
some
group homes.
homes, yes.
Okay.
So right now we have 6. And so there are 6 different facilities that we are working with and 4 homes.
Okay.
So they're all over and we just work with whoever. So it could be a private owner. Most of these facilities are getting their funding from North Carolina, they're MCOs. So the MCO will go out and find the kids who have been placed in custody.
Mm.
And so, if you look at it that way in North Carolina, in Western North Carolina, most of our kids come from Western North Carolina, and I think I shared
Really?
that
You
with you.
did say that, yeah. Mm.
Especially in this area. So for whatever reason, the MCO brings their kids from here. So they're not all from Charlotte,
Okay.
but most of these kids do attend like a public school. So they go to school with our kids.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
So I was a teacher and I worked I got my degree in behavior. I don't know what it's called now, but it was called behaviorally and emotionally disabled.
Oh,
So that it's a self-contained, like separate setting classroom. Um, and that was just my heart. I was just overwhelmed by the need, right? Because these
mhm.
children didn't ask to be born into those circumstances. And how fortunate am I not to have been born into those
I know.
circumstances? So,
Yeah.
anyway, I get your heart. I
Yeah.
definitely get it back. I couldn't do it but you're in there doing it.
Yeah,
And
it's hard. Like the other day, we put up our live Christmas trees at all the places, and everybody reported back and told their stories of how
wow.
the kids felt. And so while I was there, I had a few situations that made me emotional, but I didn't get emotional there. On the way home, I lost it. But one of them was a kid who said that he just remembered putting up lights around Christmas was one of the things that he did do with his family, and he missed that. So that was one thing he shared. It
Yeah.
was emotional.
Yeah. So, wow. Let's talk about like the mental health support for youth without parents. So these children, these young people, they often have diagnoses, and I mean, it could be anything, right? It could be like a bipolar or
Anxiety.
ADHD, anxiety, depression,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's a stigma associated. And all of that is just so heavy on
Mm-hmm.
those kids,
Mm-hmm.
right?
It
Like,
is.
so what are some things that Anderson does to help offset that?
It's a really good question. So one of the things that we do, we have a luggage initiative, which your ladies have helped us
Yeah.
with a lot. And the way that luggage initiative, we call it baggage claim. Baggage claim is just, in our mind, it's a way to take away the trash bag that youth typically show up with. So imagine being snatched out of the home, the police come, it's been found out that the child's been molested. So they're going to grab whatever they have time to grab, and it's probably going to go in a trash bag. So they show up to the admissions department at the facility with this trash bag. They show up to go into school, wherever, with a trash bag, and so Union County is amazing. Union County does very well. If there are kids in care in Union County takes care of like their luggage. No kid is showing up with a
Oh, that's
luggage
great. That's
with
great.
a trash bag. But the thing is that our kids, majority of our kids are coming from other places outside of
Oh,
Union
okay.
County.
Okay.
So that commitment is not always the same in different
Sure.
counties and places. So what we do, when you're showing up that way, you look like you have a life where you're making frequent transitions. Some of our kids are coming from a hospital
Mm.
to a facility. And so when they go to school with our kids, in the public schools, kids pay attention to, okay, you don't have a book bag. Okay, you don't have, a mom or dad who is coming
Mm.
in for your birthday to celebrate that.
Right.
Um, they're not showing up for the lemonade parties or whatever,
Right.
and so kids start paying attention to things. And most of these kids are being dropped off with the rest of the kids from the facilities in a van.
Ah,
So kids pay attention to that. So all
sure.
of that is stigma.
Yeah.
Not having parents showing up, you know, um, being in certain classes in schools, you know, it shows that you're developmentally delayed maybe, or that you do have, and then a lot of them have very serious behaviors. And so the way that they express their anger, their frustration, or their embarrassment, it could be that they may throw something or whatever. So all of those are stigmas that we try to help them overcome. And so one of the things that we do is equine therapy. Equine therapy is an opportunity for them to do about 8 weeks of horse therapy. And so they go and they interact with these horses on a nice farm. It's huge. The one we go to is Brightside. And, you know, Tia is the person that handles pretty much all of their care. And she's just amazing. They're in great hands with them. And the kids love it. And so it's something special about horses and what horses do when you have trauma. And I didn't know that, but they have a way of feeling and sensing, kind of like our dogs. And they can sense. And so they just have a way of calming the kids. So that's something that we do to help. The baggage claim initiative is where we replace those trash bags with a brand new piece of luggage. And a lot of people wonder, like, well, why do you give them brand new? You know, I have people who may ask, you know, what can we give them used blankets, or can we give them used you know, luggage? And our goal is to give them the best, because imagine going from a, you know, trash bag. They don't feel like they deserve the best. They don't expect the best. They always expect whatever they can get, whatever's left over. So my commitment is to make sure that they have the absolute best.
That is awesome. So if somebody wanted to help, they could donate.
Of
luggage.
course, backpacks is a big one, because the other thing is, you know, if a backpack breaks down or something like that, then, you know, there's not a mom who's going to pay attention to that to replace it. So we do backpacks, we do suitcases. Inside the suitcases, they're blankets. So it's kind of like, I tell our donors to think about when you show up to a hotel and the things that you left at home, but when you walk into that hotel, you have toothbrush, soap, towels, washcloths. So those are the kind of things that you can think about, just hygiene products, so that when they go to the hospital for their stay, or if they have to go to a foster home or to another facility, they don't have to depend on the new person to ask them for what they need. If they want to wash their face, they have what they need. So that's our commitment.
Okay, that's awesome. That is awesome.
We also celebrate the birthdays. We do their birthdays, and we also do their major holidays like Christmas, and, you know, maybe not, we don't do a whole lot about Thanksgiving, but, you know, they do a dinner, but we do the gifts for Christmas and things like that.
Okay. Okay. So you're well taken care of this Christmas. That we're filming this in December. Today is the 16th, I think. And so that's good, but you have more things like birthday celebrations. Do you have one every week at least?
Oh yeah. Yeah, at least one every week. Yeah, we have a team. They're called Joy Makers. And so it's the people who will go, and they will go out to schools to help us, you know, in the various areas. Because, I mean, we have, you know, facilities in Albemarle and different places that are a little bit too far for me to go every day. So we do have people who are committed to doing that, and we call them Joy Makers. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. The guy who called us earlier, James, he is a part of a group, Omega Psi Phi. And it is a chapter here in Union County, and they are just committed to our kids, and they have helped with donations. They've helped with ornaments. They literally went, and we did an event called Deck the Halls. And they went to the Union County facilities and decorated with trees. And, you know, you're seeing men actually put stencil and, you know, things on the trees, and they enjoyed it. So
that's awesome.
You know, the kids got into it and they loved it.
That is awesome. That is awesome. All right. So do you have volunteer opportunities?
We do. So
tell us a little bit.
You could be a joy maker. You could be a person who would like to go. If there is a birthday in your area, I could reach out to you and say, hey, you know, you're, you know, close to this particular school in Marshville. We have a couple of birthdays. You could go and drop off. Sweet. Like, I have some kids who they don't even know what to ask for. Our kids will ask for like a gaming system. They'll ask for Pop-Tarts or something like that.
Oh, wow.
And so what we try to do is make sure that every kid has a need and a want and a little bit more. So
a need and a want and a little bit more. And that's for Christmas?
For Christmas, yes.
And for their birthdays, do you do gifts?
So birthdays, we do that. A cake with their name on it. I think it's really important. And then we ask them the flavor of the cake that they want. And so we try to accommodate that. And we get that, written up at usually a Publix or something like that. And then we do a gift and wherever they want it delivered. Sometimes they just want it delivered at their facility. They don't want to, share that at the school or whatever based on whatever experiences they have.
Wow. Okay. So obviously money would be a great contribution.
Donations are great.
Yeah,
Yes.
you can do so much with that,
That's
right?
so true. That's so
Yeah.
true. And, in-kind gifts are great, but the bottom line is that there's so much that has to be taken care of. We may get the luggage, but then we have to fill that luggage with, a lot of items. And, we are also doing financial literacy workshops. We're taking the kids to, the Bloomingthal. I mean, these are tickets that have to be paid. And
Yeah.
they've gone to see this year the Wicked. They've seen Wicked. They've seen Lion King. So we're giving them all these experiences, kind of standing in the gap like a parent.
Right.
So those are the things that cost, and that's not something that like an in-kind gift can help with. So
Yeah.
donations help with them having those experiences. That 8 weeks with the equine therapy that cost,
Yeah. Yeah.
So those donations definitely help us to help them with getting exposed to all the things that they can possibly.
So I was just thinking, at the Blumenthal, or if you went to go see the Lion King, you would have to also pay for the adults that are there, to chaperone, right? And
Exactly.
you have to have a lot of adults.
Yes. Yes, because when they're in care, there are ratios that they have to, adhere to at all times.
Right.
So it's, I would say for a group of maybe 40, you're probably looking at about 10 adults, because you're also wanting to pay attention to what may trigger a child. Loud noises could trigger them. Just being still in one spot could trigger them. So you need someone who's going to be able to get them in and out. And that staff is typically, staff that has to be paid to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. So how did you come to this? How did you find Anderson Outreach, and what actually brought you to the point? Because you spend a lot of time doing director stuff, don't you?
I do.
And you have a job. So yeah. So she has a full-time job, but this is just in addition. This is pretty much a full-time job, right?
It is. It is. So I feel like I have 2 different jobs, but
yeah.
So I started out working at a facility similar to this. We call it a PRTF. And I had just transitioned from the financial field. I worked at Northwestern Mutual and another financial institution for years. And once COVID happened, I wanted to do something a little bit different and kind of just touch lives. And I remember writing this down, how if you write it down, it comes true. And I said to myself, to myself and to God, I wanted to be in a position where I could really help someone who needed help. And whatever my gifts were, that they would be able to be used. And so shortly thereafter, a friend of mine sent my resume, and she had no idea about this, what I had written down. She sent my resume, and she was a nurse at a facility. And she sent it into that facility. And the lady called me, and I'm like, I never applied for that job. And so I ended up being case manager or something like that, just to get to know the kids. And that's where I worked in that admissions part to see like how the kids came in, to see the gaps. And then I decided to go from there.
Wow. And so I bet, did you meet some people from Anderson? Because Anderson Outreach has been around, right, for a little while?
Well, no, we started that. So we did, this is our 4th year, actually our 4th year.
Oh, so it was never, you started it?
Well, so my founder, his name is Alfred Owens.
Okay.
He has a PRTF. It's a facility.
Okay.
And so that's who I went to work for.
Okay.
And when I saw that, I shared with him, there are some extra needs.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, by the way, we have a 501c3, the number. He was like, I haven't done anything with it, but I'd love to be able to help other kids like ours. And so I kind of ran with it from there. And so, created these initiatives and everything as a result of that.
I had no idea. For some reason, I thought I had heard
been around.
Yeah, I thought you just took over as the director. So this is...
Well, there was a director before me. That might have been what you remember. There was someone, once we got it started, she started out with the paperwork for the 501c3, but I think she wanted to kind of go in a different direction in terms of like giving out, money to other organizations, but we wanted it to be more of a hands-on organization where we really impact lives and do the work.
And you do have a website. And
We do.
I'll include that. Yeah. What is it?
Anderson Outreach. It's www.andersonoutreach.org.
And she's on social media as well.
Anderson Outreach. We're big on Instagram. I try to tag, Facebook, but I'm a big Instagram person.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, it's just easier. Yeah. So definitely follow them. You'll see their needs. And sometimes she'll post some like positive things, celebrations and things like that. So,
right.
So if a person if I wanted to help with the birthday celebrations, say, so can you put me on a list and then you can call me if there's
of course
close by?
Sure.
Happy to do that.
And we have levels of giving. So, there are levels of sponsorship. So you could say that, hey, I'd like to sponsor one child for their birthday, for Christmas and whatever. And I can tell you what that, would cost. And so there's just a breakdown with all of that. Okay. You could say, hey, I want to deliver it to the child. But one of the things about our kids is that you do have to have a background check done because they've experienced so much. Yeah. So to protect them, our volunteers do have to have that background check done.
Absolutely. That's awesome. That's really good. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's something that I think a lot of people could do. Even if they couldn't physically be in person, they can sponsor a child.
Of course.
So how do the sponsorship, you said levels?
There are different levels, and I don't know them all off the top of my head, but
you can let us
there's levels for businesses, and there are levels for individuals as well.
Well, all right. So a couple of things that most people don't know about. Well, I didn't know about your breast cancer journey, so that's fascinating. And yeah, thanks for sharing that. I will definitely be my biggest advocate. That's important. That's very important. And so your personal job to support women in treatment and survivorship.
Yes.
And do you do anything with that? Do you do like any groups or speaking? You should speak on that sometime.
I know. Well, I am a newly minted member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated.
Oh, good.
So we work a lot with service. We do a lot of advocating for women. And in my particular chapter, we specifically, we had a member who passed away from breast cancer. So we do our walks and, we do a lot in the community.
Okay.
So.
Okay, that's wonderful. That is wonderful. And then you have the deep commitment to honoring those who didn't get to survive. And I guess that the walk is one way, right?
Yeah. And then of course the biggest, I think it's Susan B. Who is it? What is her name? I don't remember. You might have to edit that out. But Susan, what?
Right, the breast cancer,
the big one that everybody does.
Yes,
I'll give. But I like to do more walking for the more local people because that one gets so much support.
That's true. Yeah.
I like to look at the ones that are really trying to get into our community.
Yeah. So if somebody wanted you to come and speak at their group, how can they get in touch with you?
So my phone number is 704-773-8955. And you can also email me. It's afleming@andersonoutreach.org. So it's just one M in Fleming, Alisia.
And you can send them the levels of sponsorship.
Yeah, definitely.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, that would.
And when you go on our website and you go to our donate link, there are some sponsorship levels that immediately will pop up, but we have also extras that are not on the website.
Well, that is fascinating. It's been very educational for me, and I hope that a lot of people will see this and spread the word because it is a very important organization, and you're doing so much good work. I think when she came and spoke to our group, there probably wasn't a dry eye in the whole room, and I think everybody was definitely moved. Don't want anybody to be forgotten. Don't ever want a child to be forgotten.
The mom and us, the woman and us, we want to nurture people. And so that's why we appreciate y'all's support too, because you came through with so much luggage.
Wow. Well, and you've got such a beautiful heart. You do.
Thank you.
You're easy to love, I think. So all these people are fall in love with you.
Tell that to a guy.
You better watch out.
Easy to love.
And she's been here. She's gotten 2 phone calls from 2 different men.
Easy to love. Write that down. We were talking about Jordan, my one guy.
Oh,
Jordan.
Okay. Her favorite guy.
Yeah, my favorite guy.
And I haven't met him yet, but he sounds fabulous on the telephone. Is her son. And you guys, this is fascinating too, to be such best friends, I didn't know two very important things about. Tell us about your son and what he does for a living, because it's fascinating.
Jordan is, he's been in martial arts since he was 4, and he now has his own business in Monroe, and it is a martial arts studio where you can learn kickboxing, women's self-defense. He does MMA type fighting, and so he also competes. He's got an amazing group that, you know, supports him and works with him closely. A lot of great friends, and he's just, to me, I feel like he's just found his core group, you know, after all these years. And
so he's got to be young. How old is he?
Jordan is 28.
Oh,
28 years
old. She doesn't look like she could have a 28-year-old in any way.
Yeah, he's 28 years old.
So what's the name of his?
Ultimate Path. So it's the Ultimate Path.
Ultimate
Martial Arts.
And we're going to try to get maybe a women's self-defense together. And I think you said, you know, like if you had a group of people or whatever, he would be happy to do a class for women. So check them out, Ultimate Path Martial Arts.
And he does kids from age like 7 up, and then a lot of his students are adults.
Really? I always wanted to do MMA.
Yes. Yeah. There's some girls in here that can help us out. Yes.
Jiu-jitsu, and that, like, that's part of jiu-jitsu and the kickboxing and all that. But yeah, I think the jiu-jitsu
should do it.
I think,
it's one of the main things is, you know, with things going on in the world, you always want to be able to just at least defend yourself.
I know.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah. Okay.
If you have a daughter, that's something you want to do.
I have 3 daughters, actually. Yeah.
Way to get out of a situation.
Okay, well, I'll get with you and we'll set up a time and I can give him a call. Good information. Well, Alicia, thank you so much for sharing your heart, your story, and your remarkable work you've done through Anderson Outreach. And what is it? AK?
Yep, Alpha Sorority Incorporated. This new jacket.
Yes, pretty jacket. I love it.
The pink and green sorority.
Very service-oriented. Is that what you said?
Service to all mankind is our motto.
Oh, I love it. Yes. I love it. Well, that's her heart for sure. So check Alicia out on social media, and I will include all of your contact information in the description below. And until next time, we'll see you later. Thanks. It was easy, girl.
Oh, good. So you know, we can hang out.
Oh, sorry, buddy. I'm sorry. Yeah, no.
Buddy is good. My dog would be making noise. Buddy, you know how to do a podcast.
He said, yeah, Mama.